into the space. So we're going to start off with Sukina. And if our host as well could share the screen, because Sukina is going to speak to us about someone who has inspired her, the Queen of Sheba.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm really happy and honored to be here today. Really happy to be part of this incredible project that has been led by Rakaya. As Rakaya said earlier on today, we all had significant Black women who meant something to us, and we created creative writing exercises out of these women. And the person that I chose is the Queen of Sheba. In the Ethiopian tradition, she's known as Makeda, and in the Arabic tradition, we know her to be Bilqis, and she's mentioned about in the Old Testament, she's mentioned about in the Quran. And what I'm going to read from today is where she's mentioned in an ancient Ethiopian chronicle called the Kebra Nagast, which is I'll explain a bit about that. But I guess one of the reasons why she inspires me as a figure is because when you read about her historically and her very famous meeting with King Solomon or the Prophet Suleiman, it's a meeting of equals, right? You find this woman who is a queen of her own kingdom. She has her own wealth. She has a kingdom. She has no need for him, but what she's in pursuit of through him is knowledge, right? She's in pursuit of sacred knowledge. She's in pursuit of knowledge of God. She's governed, like she's driven by wisdom, right? And I think that's something that I really love about her. And it's interesting with the figure of the Queen of Sheba is that in some cases, historically, she's been presented as a mythical kind of fictitious character, but she was actually a real, true and living queen. And when I was doing some research today, there's some belief, some archaeological belief that she is buried in Nigeria, which is something that I found out today, but I guess I have to do more research about that. So anyway, so the Queen of Sheba, Makeda, in the Kebra Nagast, which is an ancient Abyssinian chronicle of the Ethiopian royal lineage, there's an account of the meeting between the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon of ancient Israel, which is described in the Bible. According to both versions of the story, when Makeda, who is renowned for her beauty, her purity, and her love of wisdom, when she learned of the wise king in the north of her country in Jerusalem, she was determined to find out if in truth he was as wise as his reputation stated. So she traveled to his court carrying many chests of gold and jewels, and she tested him, right? So before she gave him the gift, she tested him, but she was won over by him and his wisdom and his knowledge, and she offered him the treasure. So, you know, it's believed that the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon, according to the Ethiopian tradition, that she conceived a son while she was in Jerusalem, and when she went back to her kingdom, she gave birth to a son called Menelik, and this is how it is believed that the lineage of ancient Israel and the kind of like Jewish or Hebrew lineage came through to Ethiopia, which is why you find a huge community of Ethiopian Jews. And it says in this text, in the Kebra Nagast, the account describes a meeting of equals, or at least near equals. The queen comes to Solomon's court as his peer in royal standing from a country which she asserts is as wealthy as his own, right? Her greatest love is wisdom, and her seduction is in the service of wisdom and towards wisdom's end. And so when I created a workshop exercise, and I guess it was based around this idea that what made, you know, the Queen of Sheba a famous queen is the fact that she was in pursuit of knowledge. And, you know, some even say that this sort of meeting between the two is really to do with her pursuit of God, really. She was sincere in her pursuit of God, and that was what led her to Solomon's court and to Solomon's kingdom, and they met as equals. She didn't have a need of him other than wisdom. And so I'm just to conclude, I'm going to read a very small poem that the Queen of Sheba wrote before she went to Jerusalem, and it's all about wisdom. She says, "Wisdom is sweeter than honey, brings more joy than wine, illumines more than the sun, is more precious than jewels. She causes the ears to hear and the heart to comprehend. I love her like a mother. She embraces me as her own child. I will follow her footprints and she will not cast me away, right? So we're seeing the Queen of Sheba is referring to wisdom in a feminine form, which I think is really important. And her love and desire for wisdom is such that she even regards wisdom like a mother, right? And her being the child or the daughter of wisdom. And I will follow the footprints of wisdom and I will never be cast away. So again, her pursuit of King Solomon and wanting to know about this king is a lot to do with her pursuit of wisdom. And just to kind of also say that in the Islamic tradition, the story is slightly different. The story is that King Solomon heard about her first. So he heard there was a wonderful, powerful queen in Ethiopia, and he had heard that she was someone who worshipped the sun, and he wanted her to know about the religion of the one God. And so he himself sent word to her, and the story is slightly different, but it's the same idea that they met in Jerusalem and they had this kind of connection based on the pursuit of knowledge. So that is the Queen of Sheba, Makeda, also known as Bilqis.
Thank you so much, Sukina. Now I'm gonna share some poems. I'm gonna share 2 poems with you, and they're both new poems actually. This first one is called Moments Like Now. Okay, bismillah. Our rightly mothers say we are mules of the earth, carrying the world and treated like dirt. Women who keep planting seeds in that ground, who keep growing, surviving, finding moments like now that can breed futures and feed girls and fuel girls with the image of all that they can become. There are women who have always been leaders, from a mother's word, teaching the value of a voice that is heard, to the sheikhs and queens that held the legacy of African dreams. Sokoto Yantaro of Nana Asmau to Ya Ashantiwa on the battlefield. Our historical mothers, the real life warriors, teachers, linguists, preachers of find the power that sits within. When divine light shows you yourself, you have everything. So say the women who uplift and protect what is gold. Temporal, temporary human body, a garment for the soul. So say the women who are not always center stage, so often lost from view outside of the frame, but is the air any less vital when you can't see it? Does energy still exist before we free it? Can power cease to be when there is one to decree it? Because I do, my sisters, I witness the power in you. And that is Moments Like Now. I'm going to share one more poem. And this one I wrote about the original Aunt Viv. So I'm pretty sure most people are familiar with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I feel like that was my whole entire childhood. And I've got a little brother who is 13 years younger than me. And he's like just watched through the whole series now. So I got to relive the joy of that. But Aunt Viv, her story, she was really kind of thrown to the side by the public, by the media, by our expectations that she was just a difficult woman. And she's recently been able to properly clear her name with a conversation. She got to sit down with Will Smith, and they really just had it out and got to really speak honestly as human beings to each other, not just kind of through camera screens. So anyway, this is a dedication to original Aunt Viv. When dragons wake in Hollywood, women are the first to die, already shaped into targets of fire breath. Who will ever miss her? Dark and harsh and mean. Who would ever believe her when she kicks up storms and screams to save her life? The public bought tickets to throw feeders at the flames. The words angry Black woman familiar to the tongue, a fitting conclusion, a comfortable blame. because she who crosses a prince, our hip-hopping, pop-locking, pretty and proud prince, our light relief, our sometimes deep but mostly hilarious prince, she who crosses royalty must pay, since only youth has currency here, only comedy, only loud, only clown face, only proud boy with talent dripping from his fingertips. He was born with it. And if you can't fawn over it, if you don't adore and submit to his kingdom, you're out. So you've built, Aunt Viv, from Juilliard to Broadway. You've toiled and trained, Aunt Viv. You gave the performance of your life and craved a family to match your energy, Aunt Viv. We see you had to work to be taken seriously. Only decorum and excellence could carry you where you hope to be. And were you not an auntie? Were you not a woman? Were you not a professional trying to pay your bills with a man at home that didn't pay no bills and a baby at home that looked up to you? And the baby at work kept spitting fire, kept pop locking clowning, kept pushing knives in your back with his tongue, and you wanted to tell him what he couldn't see because he was young. But it's never simple when oil and water meet, when neither will press lips to the other's feet. But it's never too late to kiss hands, to take hearts from cage to palms, to say, this is how I feel. This is what I lost. You knew full well the words you spewed, but you did not check the cost. For him to swallow blame before rushing to explain, to say, this is how I felt, and this is what I feared. Without your love and approval, my dragon appeared. And so original Aunt Viv met a funeral pyre of vicious fans and an unforgiving industry, blacklisted, a fitting conclusion for the dark and harsh and mean. But Janet Hubert picked herself up from the ashes, the way Aunt Viv rose in a pink leotard to snap her fingers at the dance club girls who sneered. But she conquered the pop, lock, pirouette, and careen, blazed through as a phoenix of the fire routine. And that was original Aunt Viv. Thank you, guys. So we're moving on. We're moving on to another history. I can't remember who it is. I don't know if you guys have the order. Let's see who is next.
It might be me, maybe, possibly.
It is you. It is you.
It is me. It is me. Okay. Oh, what happened? Am I here? Ah, I see. This is what's happening. See, I know nothing about technology, but I am here. I have to apologize because my setup is a bit strange. I have my laptop in front of me. I've got a tablet, which I'm viewing you on. So if I'm not giving you eye contact, please, please, please forgive me. But so for those of you who were here this morning, you already heard my history. My name is Muneera. I am 1/4 of the poetry collective Nana. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be here. I am doing, I don't know if it's really a history or if it's more of just a love affair or my engagement or how I first started to engage with Audrey Lorde and what I think about poetry and her relationship to poetry and what she's given me through her words with poetry. So I'm going to start off by just reading from my laptop. So again, excuse me for not giving you eye contact, but it goes. When I was young, I always had a crush. In fact, nothing's changed. I'm still always crushing on someone. The only difference is now that I'm older, my crushes feel less harsh and hard and more light and playful and fun, how crushes are supposed to be. So, you know, the odd postman here, the odd man cycling past me on the bike there, just a slight flutter and appreciation of God's creation. But back then, when I was young, back then in those times, crushes felt like I was colliding into a brick wall. It was heavy if it went sour, engulfing. It was then in these engulfing moments that I realized this poetry isn't just clever writing. Back then, I was performing 2 to 3 times a week. The more I performed about how my latest crush had crushed me or whatever situation was hurting me, the more I performed, I realized I started to come to, and it was the more I started to come to terms with how I was feeling. So whenever I performed, it was almost as if each performance was a little step towards coming closer to some form of resolution. I realized I was able to dispel emotional pain from my body with the use of poetry. I realized poetry has the potential to transform me and allow me to be understood while, in this world. While experimenting with poetry in this way, I realized it was way more than a telling tool. Even though that aspect is important, it was more than just a telling tool. It was a means to share stories, share culture, share history, belong to a legacy. It was something that allowed me to learn if I decided to listen. Hearing people communicate through poetry taught me a range of things that I didn't know before, things I probably would not sign up to if it was about reading it from a book or if I had to go to a presentation. But poetry allowed me to do this. It allowed me to praise God, to encourage myself and others. It armed me with the things that I needed as a young woman. It allowed me to beautify things, to beautify my words, to beautify me. It allowed me to forgive and to let go and to learn how to love. But something else that poetry did for me is it allowed me to discover. Poetry for me is a point of self-discovery and interrogation. It's a remarkable tool for discovery. It allowed me to uncover things I did not know about myself, feelings, emotions, knowledge. It allowed me to uncover a self-knowledge. For me, poetry is a methodology. It's a methodology for me to show up in this world with my full self and to discover the extent of my humanness. I'm going to say that again. I affirm it to myself again. Poetry is a methodology for me to show up in the world with my full self and to discover the extent of my humanness. It took me years to come to this ever-evolving conclusion of poetry. Poetry is a methodology to show up to the world. Poetry allows me to be my full self. Poetry allows me to discover the extent of my humanness. But once I did discover this, I started to discover more and more writers who embodied that philosophy, who embodied that idea. And one of them is Audrey Lorde. I was doing my MA in Women's Studies at University of York. If you don't know anything about York, York is hella racist. But anyway, that's another story. I was doing my MA in Women's Studies at the University of York. I didn't need to, but I felt like I don't need to, but it feels like there's so many accolades about me, or excuse me. I didn't need to do my MA is what I'm trying to say, but as many women, as many Black women, as many people from marginalized communities do, sometimes we feel we need to add another accolade to our name in order to be who we need to be. I felt like an imposter. And it was in that university room with my colleagues, with my fellow students, that I fell upon a reading list. I remember when I saw this reading list, I thought to myself, how am I going to do this? How am I going to read all of these books? But one book that was on the reading list was Zami, A New Spelling of My Name. This book for me was transformative. It allowed me to look at Audrey Lorde. It allowed me to look at her life and how she was able to paint herself, paint her picture, paint her story, but through it, tell the stories of so many other people. Stories of queer women, stories of Black women, of women generally, stories of marginalized people all around the globe. Much of Audrey Lorde's biographical history, we may already know. We know she was born Audrey Geraldine Lorde on February the 18th, 1938. She was born in New York to Caribbean parents. Her mother was from the Grenadines and her father from Barbados. Audrey in this book talks about her parents, about how her parents have shaped her, even though their relationship wasn't always good. You know, Audrey Lorde started talking and reading at the age of 4. Some may say talking at the age of 4 is pretty late, but by the age of 12, she had written her first poem. Outside, by the age of 20, she had performed at various places. She had written her first poetry. She was a part of the Harlem Writers Guild. She had attended a school for exceptionally gifted children. Her next phase, post-20, was in Mexico. And something that I think is remarkable, she talks about learning about who she is affirming who she is, discovering who she was or who she is as a queer woman in that time. She talks about discovering who she is as a poet, as a Black woman. And for me, it feels really interesting that as a woman coming into herself, discovering who she is, that she also discovered her poetic voice. I don't think this is by accident. I don't think this is a mere coincidence. There are many accolades to Audrey's name, including educational institutes where she studied, where she taught. She was a co-founder of the Kitchen Table, which is a press for women of color. So she essentially helped many women to publish their own books. She's published over 19 books. That doesn't include chapters, or that doesn't include other forms of writing contributions that she's made. She's done so much. And yes, we know, of course, that she passed away of cancer at the age of 52. We know, of course, that throughout her life, she suffered abuse. There was hardships in her life, but that doesn't take away from her light. In fact, that only adds to her light. That doesn't take away from her legacy, from her story, from her contribution to this legacy that we're all partaking in now. There is a legacy of women, of Black folk, of Black women and other people who use poetry as a methodology, who use poetry as a technology to understand ourselves. There's so many more things that can be said about Audrey, but I don't think I'm gonna get all of her biography into this talk. So I will just go on to say a few of my favorite quotes by Audrey Lorde. One of which, there are no new ideas, there are only new ways to making them felt. I think as poets, for me, that's so fundamental in knowing that there's nothing new under the sun, but we can express them in different ways. She said, each time you love as deeply as if it were forever. When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I'm afraid. She said, my silence has not protected me. Your silence will not protect you. But for every real word spoken, for every attempt I have ever made to speak truths for which I am still seeking, I have made contact with other women while we examined the words to fit in the world, which we all believed in, bridging our differences. She talks about our silence not protecting us. She talks about coming together as women. And of course, we know the famous quote in which she talks about our well-being, our self-care, not in the bubble bath, foamy, hey, let's go eat some donuts and then go, do whatever we want type way. But real self-care is perseverance. When we look at cases of weathering, which happen in Black women, PTSD rising in Black women, we realize that actually it's designed that we feel stressed sometimes. So to be able to just live our lives relaxed, in a relaxed manner, to be able to live our life and try and eliminate stress from us, I think this is something really important that our teacher, our sister, I guess we can now say our ancestor, Audrey Lorde, has taught us. And that's it from me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Muneera. I think a lot of people felt that. You can see in the chat. Audrey Lorde has definitely left us with a lot. Let's pass on to Saraiya for some more poetry. I've also put in the chat the background for whoever it was that asked. So if you want to join us with the background, go on ahead and download that. Thank you so much, Muneera. Let's hand over to Saraiya.
That's so unfair. So it's like, how do I follow up with that? That was amazing. MashaAllah, Muneera, Allah bless you. Your mind, your diction, it's just incredible. Right. So I'm about to recite some poetry for you guys. Today's just left me so full and just so warm and loving. And I really hope I don't recite anything that brings the mood down. So without further ado, I'm going to recite a poem about a woman who's already been mentioned in one of Rakaya's poems, called Ya Asantewa. Queen. Not to be defined the same as European, where your worth is esteemed on monetary reasoning. Queen. Why do you attribute your status to things? Aren't you aware you're a descendant of queens? Queens that ruled dynasties on the motherland. Queens that led clans better than any man, who executed their plans with wisdom and power. True Talawa like Ya Asantewa. Born in 1840, who led the rebellion of the Ashanti, warrior queen who waged war against the British colony, known commonly as the War of the Golden Stool. Ya Asantewa addressed the fools who pledged allegiance with oppressors. She said, "Is it true that the bravery of the Ashanti is no more? Disrespect to the throne had never happened before, and she'd be damned if she stood by and be led to slaughter whilst in full view of Ashanti's daughters." Ya Asantewa became revered in history on her litany. If you, the men of Ashanti, will not go forward, then we will. We, the women, will. I shall call upon my fellow women. We will fight the white men. We will fight till the last of us falls in the battlefields. What strength Mama Asantewa's words did yield. Words that ignited the fire in the disillusioned and fought through the confusion ensued by foreign rulers. Which goes to show that the wisdom woven on women's lips makes success within the reach of your fingertips, and wisdom can't be attained by monetary gain. So I ask you again, Queen, why do you attribute your status to things? Aren't you aware you're the descendant of queens? Queens that ruled dynasties on the motherland, queens that led clans better than any man, who executed their plans of wisdom and power. True Talawa like Ya Asantewa. Our stature signifies our title given by birthright, and we possess all we need to win the good fight. So that is my poem about Ya Asantewa. That was commissioned back in 2017 for UK's Black History Month in October. So on the subject of queens, we had our Unbraiding Legacy workshop, and our dear sister Sukina, she set a workshop asking what makes you a queen. Write that down. What components are there? And if I'm honest, I don't know whether I do possess the components of a queen, but I wrote it and I'm going to share what I've given. So Bismillah. What makes me a queen? I reference queens in my poetry quite frequently. Now I'm asked to list out specifically what makes me royalty. I'm lost for words. Queens are defined by their gait. I used to strut with an erect spine. One child later, and this is now a taxing task. My face used to be canvassing for MAC, Bobby Brown, Fenty, Cajal heavy eyes, and lips that transition from ochre to rouge to nude. My face is now nude, bereft of the pomp and flair of makeup. My wit and intellect ebbs and flows between Islamic scrolls, poetic ideals. Achille, Achille, Achille. The refrain from children's TV, what to prepare for tonight's meal. So what makes me a queen? My back's seen better days, and my skin is more bleak than on fleek. Yet I feel I'm at my most regal peak. My being radiates like a queen, sipping juices of tamarind, coconut, baobab, fruits of the coast of West Africa, though I'm clad in my trusty fleece dressing gown. My essence is royal. My thoughts are royal. And I may not be coronated, but I'm royal through and through. And I still don't know what considers makes me a queen. And I left it out there, but I don't know, inshallah, it will come to me. And I think that's the beauty of poetry. It's like you feel like you're finished, but it can just continue and continue. And I think that's the beautiful thing. So if I'm not mistaken, I've probably got time for one more. Okay. So what I will do is I'll just recite one last poem. And this was pre-baby days when I would just book a flight on a whim. And one Ramadan, I booked a flight on a whim and I spent some time in Fez. And on one of the odd nights in the last 10 days of Ramadan, I went to the Zawiya of Sheikh Ahmed Tijani. And I saw a lot of West African women praying throughout the night and doing dhikr, and it prompted me to write this poem on the spot. Weeping willows bow but never break, as do these sisters who never break as they bow to their Lord. Their concern is the here and now, the moment where fears, desires, and dreams crystallize into deeds. Supplications scooped in henna-tinted hands made to the one who commands us to yield to his oneness. Whoever storms to strengthen the roots of those who bow. Their branches graze the masjid floor, create ripples in Persian rugs. Their du'as rustle wordlessly to frolic in the domes covered in sacred geometry. How glorious that devotions can manifest in a multitude of ways. How glorious is Al-Musawir to grant mercy in these precious days. They never take a break as they bow. They alternate from prostration to circumvention of their tasbih. At times, tears carve their tracks on cheeks the hue of mahogany. Shoulders shudder from swallowed grief, not wanting to wail as they weep, yet they still don't break. Just supplicate and bow and wait and bow. Wow. So that's enough poetry from me today. My name is Saraiya Bah. I'm 1/4 of Nana Collective. And please stay with us and share with us. It's an open mic night. So I'm looking forward to getting some poetry revival, inshallah.
Yes, thank you so much. We're going to be starting with the open mics from the workshop today who were here with us earlier. So we're going to start with Taryn, if you're ready to share. I think Taryn didn't want to share her workshop piece though. She was going to share another piece, which is totally fine, but feel free to put your hand up actually, and then we'll be able to find you. And okay, great. Great, you've got the screen too. Love it, love it, love it. So feel free to go ahead and start when you're ready.
Hey guys, so I decided not to do the piece from the workshop because I prefer when I perform not to do the same piece. But it's the poem that I chose to perform today is basically kind of like how it is to be a female. So it's called Stole. You steal my words and proclaim it as yours. I speak my truth, but I get booed at. You get praised and renowned at, and I'm left in the corner, thinking, when will I get my voice back? My rule may be quiet, but it's still in the burrow of my heart. Slip into my skin, for only then you can speak my truth. Hear and feel every breath, for then you will be remorse in the truth. Thank you.
Thank you for that piece, Taryn. I just love your soothing voice and delivery as well every time. Thank you so much for joining us again and sharing your beautiful words with us, and for opening the open mics as well. So
happy to.
Thank you so much. Francine, are you around? Are you ready? Please put your hand up, Francine, if you are here and ready to share. We'd love to hear from you. If you're here, if you got in, if you made it into the room. Okay, if Francine's not ready, feel free to put your hand up, Francine, if you are here, and we'll come back to you. Janice, are you here and ready?
I'm here. Can you see me waving?
I can't yet. Okay, but yes, I can see you. I can see you. I think if our host can find you, then you can be spotlighted as well. But yeah, go ahead and the stage is yours.
Cool, thank you. So I'm going to share 2 pieces that came out of exercises that were shared in the workshop today. One over a poem called Love by Assata Shakur, and the other based on a look at the Queen of Sheba. So here we go with the first one, Love. Love is a confusion of thoughts and feelings,
leaving me helpless, constrained by fear. Suppressing this confusion has left me without agency, surrendering myself, relinquishing my liberty. The moment is fleeting, it too will pass, until the next time it bids me come. Love holds me captive. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
So the second one, as I said, based on the look at Queen of Sheba. I don't think it's quite has a title yet, but anyway, let's just call it Warrior Queen for now. We'll figure it out later. Okay, here we go. Actually, I need to just move up my thing so I can see it properly. Okay. Looking out at their faces, I see fire in their eyes, ready to fight. Women of every description, mothers, daughters, sisters, friends, young and old, and everyone in between. What have I done to bring us to this place? Why have they followed me to this defining moment? Underestimated and undervalued, overlooked and overshadowed. Our quest for freedom will not be smooth, and yet we can no longer stay silent, no longer stay still. The stirring in our embers has begun to burn brighter, igniting one after another and another and another. What began as discontent has become a roaring flame, and now here we stand on the brink of a new ending. Even if it's not for our future selves, but for the future of our other selves yet to come. Queen after queen, born from the loins of those who will trace their lineage back to us, back to this moment, back to this land where we took a stand. Now all that is left is for me to do my part. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janice, for both of those really powerful pieces. I think we all felt that the weight of that, being an ancestor, being someone who your legacy will be traced back to you, someone's legacy will be traced back to you. Really, really function so we can find you. We'd love to hear some of your poetry from today. I think I heard your voice.
Okay, so I'm trying to, yeah, okay, got it.
Awesome.
Did it work? Okay. So basically this, oh, sorry if it disappointed you, but it's not related to the workshop.
That's okay.
So yeah, this is a piece that I've been working on. Yeah, work in progress, but in this piece I'll be like exploring the pandemic and basically how the government used minorities as like a scapegoat for the spread of COVID, and I'll be like covering underlying issues within that. So hope you enjoy. Okay. Right now I'm drinking Kashmiri chai. It looks like the Mohatta Palace we saw that time. I dip my sesame biscuits rich with ghee. Don't let your hair down or you'll get there fleas. I remember racing down the hallway, baskets weak. Trolleys are brittle iron feet. Tongues that spoken Pashto and Urdu become woven. Here in the supermarket, everybody's welcome. We have a library of spices, a collection with wide range, butchers with knives, sweating blood for some time, mass produce. I love the 15-packet eggs for just $2.99. I see families and grandparents standing in line. I see generations before and after enthused concern. I don't really see their faces no more. Masks hang up and sideways. Just make up your mind, keep it on, or you'll get fined. They keep blaming us on the TV, saying we breathe too quickly, because there's Jummah at the mosque. Every Friday we're just like moths, attracted to the light, community lost. I refuse to cough. At least I'm not like them, those uneducated brown men walking down the streets, careless, blasting their beats. Go home, stay indoors, or you get reported for breaking the law. Don't start a fight, don't tell me why Christmas is alright, how all the gores were sunbathing at the beach. Instead they should be protesting, trying to get Boris impeached, or is it just freedom of speech? Everyone's welcome here. We don't tolerate racism. If you do, you'll disappear. You'll be forgiven because you're our only hope right now, telling us to wash our hands, saying inshallah we'll survive, if not just take 5. Everyone's clueless at the moment, praying for some normality they think they want, so life can go back to normal where we can walk down the streets, meeting our friends at the beach, having picnics in peace, not addressing the real problems we need to unteach, or correcting the curriculum, telling them why we're really here. We need to tell this nation, instead there'll be a drought with Brexit, Corona, why don't you kick us out? You can't. You need us, or everyone would fall apart, begging us on their knees. Oh, please let me see. London would fall empty. Millions of lives would have been lost. We're here because you left us for no cost. Apparently, Britain should be one of the best countries in the world. My mum tells me to be grateful because I'd rather not be at home where life is endless hard work, unpaid, unskilled labor, housework. I was born rich, feeling poor, feeling displaced, having this delusion of grandeur, imagining a utopia, a colorful world. Low and simple, now you've been proven wrong. Look what you've done to Hong Kong. You left an island alone to drown, sinking deeper without your crown. It's been taken over, voices mute, technological advancement true, no opposition allowed. One day we'd be witnessing those camps that imprison people, leaving them blank, forcing them to lose themselves, stripping their religion, beards cut off, where halal becomes haram, scarves gone, fertility lost. Now Islam is just left to rot. Sorry, it's quite a sad line, but yeah.
Thank you. Oh, that was
Sorry for being really long.
packed. No, thank you so much. So much. So many incredible points. I think my favorite standout bit was about kicking us out, but no, you need us. London would be empty. This
Thank you.
place that we live in is so full of different people's experiences and people from around the world and immigrants that are just integral to the fabric of our society. Thank you so much for bringing that piece.
No, thank you for like hosting all these workshops and or even like the Saturday session. I learned a lot. Like so it's really helped.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I've been hosting a workshop on Saturdays and Armin has been one of the regulars, which is great. So we've been writing lots together. Okay, we're gonna have some more open mics soon. But for now, we're gonna carry on with the Nana Collective's histories and poetry. So I'm gonna share a little bit about Nana Asma'u. So as you've heard, we are Nana Poetry Collective, and one of the inspirations for our name is this woman called Nana Asma'u bint Fodio. And she was born in Nigeria, what's now known as Nigeria, in the northernmost part of the Hausa Kingdom. And that was back in 1794. So she was a poet, a linguist. She spoke 4 languages and she wrote in 3 of those languages. She was a political advisor, Islamic scholar, a mother, and a woman's education advocate. So she was educated at a very, very young age, and also was a woman of her house. She was married and had children at a very young age. But by her 20s, she was already a well-known scholar that people would come and travel to sit at her feet and to learn, both men and women. All kinds of people would want to come and learn from her from all over Nigeria. But there were some people that she couldn't reach. And a lot of these people were women of childbearing age who maybe weren't able to leave their villages and to come and sit at her feet like so many others did. So to reach those women, she set up her own movement. And this movement was called the Yantaro Movement. So Yantaro means those who congregate, the people who come together. So it was a sisterhood of educators. So these women were called the Jaji, and they were teachers trained by Nana Asma'u herself, and then sent out to go traveling alone in times of battle, in times of political unrest, into the dangers of uninhabited lands, to find women in their own localities that they could give an oral education to. So the Jaji and Nana Asma'u herself were literate women. They could read and write, but they recognized the power of oral history and education and poetry that could be memorized by so many and have knowledge continued and spread in that way. So Nana Asma'u, the origins of her name is from Asma ul-Husna, which is in reference to the divine names, the 99 names of Allah. So that is one of the things that she wrote about, and she's written many, many different poems. And a lot of them were to do with Islamic education and Islamic theology, as well as many different topics. And eulogy was also one of the very popular things that Nana Asma wrote. And it now teaches us so much about the time that she lived and the politics of that age. So I think what inspires me most about her is this movement, this Yantaro movement, that really just honored and upheld women and used them as leaders and used them as teachers. And actually, when they would go out into the lands to find different women in their localities to teach, they would be wearing a specific hat that meant they could be recognized as the Jaji. So you see this woman, and you know, okay, she's one of Nana Asma's Jaji. You know, she should be respected. She should be left alone. You know, she's free to travel and do this, you know, very noble act of spreading knowledge and education. So that is Nana Asma. And from here, we're gonna pass over to Sukina for some poetry.
Thank you so much, everyone that shared so far, to my Nana sistrins and to the sisters on the open mic. Very, very honored to hear your words. So the first poem I'm going to do is a poem called To Be a Black Girl. To be a Black girl in this world is to be a walking paradigm, an apparent contradiction. You are visible and invisible at exactly the same time. You fulfill two roles, either passive or aggressive, either subservient or too assertive, too bossy, too bitchy. Your voice should either be quiet so everyone feels safe, and if you raise it, well, you may as well be a monster, a one-eyed beast to be feared and avoided. There aren't many roles for us to play on this white man-made stage, so some of us soften our voices, smile regularly and appear attentive and interested in everything Jane has to say at the office, laugh when she laughs, but maybe a little louder, so she knows that you really get it, like you get it. Well-spoken Black person, the type that would receive comments on a drunken night out like, I don't even see color, we're the same, you and me, and you'll smile and think, I know she means well, even though something about it makes you feel uncomfortable, but you won't lean into the discomfort. You don't want to rock the boat or challenge her comments because, well, she means well, and that's what counts, right? But why did her comments make you feel invisible, like you sold a piece of yourself for a very low price? To be a Black woman in this world means to feel like this on more than one occasion. You either brush off comments like dust under the sofa, not realizing something ugly is building in the dark spaces under there, or it is to swallow the comments whole, becoming bloated on their arrogance and privilege until it sours your face and escapes through your pores as a rage that you cannot explain, but you know deep in the core of yourself that a time will come where you might explode. A tsunami on the high street, caused by years of bending yourself into positions that don't suit you. You're not that flexible. You don't do yoga. In fact, you hate it. And you hate those yogis who wear yoga pants, holding matcha frappuccinos like it's the elixir of life, walking down the high road in the ends where your mother grew up, looking at you like you're in the wrong neighborhood. But that's a different poem for a different day. One day, you know you will explode. Pieces of your flesh flung across the high street, sheets of brown skin draped over the lamppost, blood on the bus stop, bones in the road, and your spirit will hover just over the street, and you'll look down on the whole bloody mess and wonder, how the hell did we get here? And could we not have found a cleaner way to respond? Thank you. Okay, so the next poem I'm going to do is called, I'm going to do a poem called Someone Spoke of Love, which is, so I've got two Zooms open and one of them's making too much noise. All right, so the next poem I'm going to do is called Someone Spoke of Love, and it's a poem about freedom. Bismillah. The breeze passes by so very close, as if someone just happened to speak of love in the courtyard, because even the wind knows that love is one of the gowns that freedom likes to wear sometimes. If we were to drape love over our shoulders, we would taste freedom everywhere. But hush, Don't let the guards hear. Don't give away our plans of escape tonight. We'll fly from ourselves, leaving our bodies behind. We won't need to dig tunnels through concrete using dessert spoons to acquire this type of freedom. This escape is harder to detect. You can keep my corpse. This piece of flesh started to die before I arrived. You can keep this body. It is already turning to dust anyway. The freedom we will taste tonight will keep dignity in our eyes tonight. We will run to love. The type of love that will swallow us whole. Let us drown in the belly of love's ocean, like Jonah in the belly of the whale. When we open our eyes, we will realize that we are still alive, more alive than we've ever been. And when they look at us, they will see something different in our gaze. This resistance in our eyes is a light that they can never capture. And you will irritate them because you now have a secret they can never touch. Every time they see you, they will smell your freedom, but not know where the fragrance is coming from. And if they ever catch you crying, assuming they have overpowered you, you will chuckle under your breath. They don't realize this is freedom falling from your eyes, reminding you that you are alive. Thank you. And the final poem I'm going to do is called Black Girl Twirl. And it's a poem that I wrote some years ago. Myself and Muneera were in a play about Malcolm X that was produced and created from a theatre in Belgium called the KVS, the Royal Flemish Theatre. And I wrote this piece, Black Girl Twirl, it's called. The most dangerous words to have ever been uttered to women who grace the face of this earth is that your existence is a curse. Your presence drenched with the stench of insignificance. Such fatal words, it's even worse. If the sun has a thing for the skin that you're in, black, brown, gold, and glistening becomes a prison you are living in. Your worth lessens as you increase in melanin. Exoticized and denigrated, characteristics exaggerated, culture appropriated, you are paraded like a savage until your blackness becomes high fashion. Vogue magazine, Kim Kardashian, next season, exploitation of Africans on the runway until they find another culture to play with. My culture ain't nothing to play with. It's even worse if you're a woman who frequents the mosque or church, synagogue or nature reserve in search of God, in search of the sacred. Backwards and unintelligent, brainwashed and submissive is the brush we are painted with. In contrast to the construct of white male atheist, a black female who has tasted the greatness of God is seen as the bottom tip of an inverted pyramid, one step lower and we cease to exist, but we resist. You thought you pushed us down. We planted our seeds in the ground and flipped it, came back with black girl magic, black orchids, black roses, black tulips, black daisies. I raised me from the pits of your dark dream where you enslaved me. Memories from ancient mothers and melodies from the unseen came to remind me, not just to seek divinity, but be divinity. Wear the universe like a cloak to guard your modesty and twirl. Twirl for the black girls taught to hate their kinky curls. Twirl for the indigenous women ripped from the earth. We twirl for mothers whose children were stolen at birth, for those who stand on street corners to survive, for those who sacrifice their lives to bring forth new life. We twirl. We are the black of the universe before the creation of light. We are black like the kiswa that covers the Kaaba, stitched with scriptures of gold like the calligraphy etched on my soul. We are more elegant than 1,000 butterflies in flight, newly emerged from the blacks of their cocoons. We are women in tune with the full moon, the new moon, the orange moon, the blood moon. Our time will come soon. We just have to remember our tune. You just have to remember you. There is no life here without you. No one enters this earthly realm without living in a lagoon in your womb, this womb, round like the sun at high noon. The angels blew and God knew the best place to house a new soul was inside of you. Prophets and paupers, baptized in these sacred waters, between heaven and earth, we are a portal, eternity embedded in a mortal. We are beautiful and awful, extraordinary, cloaked in a mortal. The revolution will start when we activate the heart. We are Rosa Parks and Joan of Arc. We are Empress Menen and Tawakkul Carmen of Yemen. We are Queen Nefertiti, Amy Garvey and a maroon called Nani. We are Rabia al-Adawiya, Queen Nzinga, Winnie Mandela Saint Teresa of Avila. We are Betty, Shaba's wife of X. We are Amina, Muhammad. We are Khadija, Zawjatun Muhammad. We are Fatima bint Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the feminine face of her father. We are the women Sahaba, women of the Sahara and of the savannah, women of the islands and of the concrete, women of the townships and of the cities. We are women in charge of our own destiny. The ropes around our tongue will only become undone when we cut them. Then we will twirl. Twirl through the battle scars, labor pain, and broken hearts. Twirl to give birth to a new earth before we are devoured. Twirl until the final hour. Twirl like the sun cycle. Twirl because we are our last chance for survival. We must twirl. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Incredible as always. I think we should just take a moment to enjoy that beauty. Thank you so much, Sukina. We've now got our next set of open mics. So I think some people as well were not sure if they wanted to share a poem or not. So if you've changed your mind and you do want to share, please just message me in the chat. You are so welcome. We want to hear from all of you. First up, we have Georgia. Georgia, are you here? Can you use the hand up function if you're around, if you're ready to share? Georgia. Oh, we enjoyed Georgia's pieces during the session, but it doesn't look like she's made it into this room. Adama, I know you're here.
I'm here. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, walaikum salam.
It's so lovely to be here. I just want to say Jazakallah khair. This is like been a healing, and I don't know how I'm going to actually go to bed because I feel like my soul's awakened, and it's nighttime here in Istanbul. I really don't know how I'm going to be in bed. So I'd like to perform 2 poems.
Go ahead.
The first, which is from today's workshop about names. And it's so funny because I was actually thinking about names about 2 nights ago. So I feel like this is just one of those moments where literally you attract an energy that you put out. So I'd like to share it with you guys. And it basically relates to my name. When I meet people, they ask me what my name means, and it turns into a lecture that they end up regretting. So it'd be lovely to just share it with you guys in a beautiful poem that I've written today. And I hope you like it. All right. Just bear with me. Okay, apologies for that. Adam plus A, feminine, namesaking, the first human, the first man, to be honored, the most ancient of insan, and a name that comes from the heavens, given by the Lord of the great throne himself. Through it, I incarnate my grandmother and an unknown Freetonian liberated slave, Semitic, Arabized, enshrined for all eternity, in Surah Baqarah, Hajj, and Najm. Read and heard many a time during the blessed month, in blessed trill and melody. Diamond laden in Greek, Adamas, grounded and rooted beneath us, Hebrew, Adama, Adamma, African and Igbo, in spirit. She is a beautiful child and queenly, scattered everywhere in Sierra Leone, and somewhere in London. You say you've never heard it before, yet it is the name that birthed you. So that was my first poem. So just to give a bit of context that if you didn't understand, so basically there are different pronunciations of my name, and so therefore there are different etymologies. So it's a really ancient and lofty name, and there's a lot of power in the name, and so I'm really grateful to be able to share that with you. So thank you for that. And so the next poem that I'm gonna recite is actually a poem I wrote 2 years ago to honor 400 years of chattel slavery in the United States of America. And the backstory to it is coming from a country like Sierra Leone that was implicated heavily by enslavement. I've often always been thinking about those who've remained on the continent, and I feel like that's a narrative that often doesn't get a lot of credibility. And so the perspective is really from a woman who's lost her child and who's waiting for her child. And so the name of the poem is called The Wait. So I hope you enjoy it. I gaze on, fixated on the horizon, where the red glows turn into black. Where the red glows turning into black as I sit upon the green. I scold the mighty sun to shine a path across the skies to return you to me. I touch, caress I touch, caress the crisp waters, whose blue and green merges with white. Then I beat at them with my feet. They have sinned unconsciously. They must return you to me. I savor to hear your cheeky boyish cackles, till they become a wisp of wind. And I, immovable in grief, hope your echoes will return back to me. Aloud I sing a lullaby of Sendugu, and recite the tales of Futajalon, a message from me to you, so you will hear the call of the ancestors and somehow return to me. I tarry, toiling as I await for your arrival. I pound yam at dawn, willing the smell of goat stew to reach you by forenoon, that you find your way back by my hand, by twilight and return to me. They say you are my child no more, and I tell them no, I will wait until I am no more. So I wait and wallow, tearing at my waistcloth, pearls of salt dropping towards our mother ocean. Your womb wishes to fall also, by mine or God's will. Maybe then you will return to me. I beg and screech at your father and our kinsmen to offer sacrifice, to appease the Almighty, to dare will him, so he returns you to me. Our Obai says, the white man stole you. How could he truly when you are in my heart? I will smite and curse at the guilty for all time, till they set you free and return you to me. They want you to be my child no more, and I shout no. I will wait until I am no more. Alas, O Wath, my child, I am of the last of the mothers of the lost ones, stale in this life, ripe for its passing. Your siblings who do not know you, but they know you, cocoon me as I lay, willing me, but they are unaware of how I wrestle death, only for you and not for them. I close my eyes, scoffing at his mission, for I hear my child's voice, speaking in a foreign tongue. I see you edging closer. I stretch forth my hands, as if you were before me an angel, human no more. I laugh a little. You are on your way to return to me soon. So that's that.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That was really emotional. I think someone said it in the chat, that loss of a child and the use of cultural song and cooking and things as a way to reach that lost child was just a really beautiful image. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Adama, thank you for being here all the way from Turkey. Wonderful to have you with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna pass to Aisha, but first I'm gonna read a poem that PJ wrote in the workshop. So this is Love Is, and I think this was inspired by Assata Shakur's poem. Love is a house that trauma built, made of what looks like solid bricks, but hollow with unfillable space. We make commitments to dreams that we do not believe in and hope we can find ways to build. Foundations under castles in the air, we stay unbelieving but committed to the notion we will make it this time, trusting that love is the revolution. So thank you for that powerful piece, PJ. Thank you for being here with us today as well, sharing the space and energy. Aisha, do you want to unmute, use the raise hand function? And yeah, take the mic when you're ready.
I wasn't going to work. Okay, I'll go. First of all, evening, everyone. And I think I have to say that it's been really incredible to be a witness and to experience all the work that people have shared today. It's just been amazing. So thank you, and thank you for organizing it. I've got two pieces. I'm going to read one piece from I've actually got two from today, but I'll read one from today, and I'll read one that I developed in your workshop. Yeah. The one I'm going to respond to was the prompt looking at names. So this one's called Gadinana. Gadinana. Gadi sits uneasily in my immediate vocabulary and history, an anomaly on the tongues of a contemporary line of family. What was known has died, buried with those who left, yet fragments spill on dry dirt, leaving a legacy of movement from a Portuguese colony, a third generation memory, anonymously overheard, indentured labor from Cape Verde. And that really describes the narrative that we have of my great grandmother. Her name doesn't fit. What we've heard about her doesn't fit. And it was only through a conversation that I had with somebody that I realized that after enslavement, they continued indentured labor from across the continent. And then we were able to sort of piece together that that's where that name came from, and that's where it entered our history. So that was really quite interesting. That was an interesting piece and an interesting discovery, and still yet to be finished. Yeah. The other piece I have was from a prompt with the workshops that we were doing with Rakaya. So, and it was from a poem that you read, I think, as a prompt. We have forged new beginnings in the dregs of hope left over from yesterday, grasping the dust, falling from footsteps, hastening in rapid departure. We hold fast to what has passed to shape the future, hammering out our metallic potential out of embers, glistening with bright, shiny possibility, fired over the anvil of faith, which has made this so. Stolen names sit curled behind teeth, trapped in missing history like vipers, waiting to strike without warning, if disturbed. Stolen norms settling the silt and the sand on the shores of the sea they crossed, like cursed shadows foreboding. Stolen nights robbed the daylight, displaced midnight hue, a misery of new, and indigo forever. The darkest pain of theft steals again and again and again. The day breaks, the sky into two, separates violet from indigo hue, slowly and carefully, and bleeds into the blue, midnighted by the moon, who slithers serene, calmed with a cool, warm, bright, shadowed magic by the twinkle of the stars. Lilac dances lightly into the rouge, spilling carelessly into crimson. A crimson caress topples into fired orange zest of today, of citric sharp, like an intake of breath that blows on the embers, glowing, glamorous yellow, vibrant into the vitality of another day.
Stunning. Thank you so much, Aisha. And those of you who don't know, Aisha is a painter, and you can tell that from that last piece, just painting pictures with your words. Gorgeous, gorgeous imagery. Thank you so much for sharing both pieces.
And that piece that I'm writing there is because the island I'm from is 40 years of independence this year. So I used it to shape a narrative around its history. So that's what that piece will eventually be. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. Letitia, if you're here and would like to share, please just raise your hand and we would love to get you up. Before we do get you up, we're gonna have Saraiya sharing a history.
Right. So there's this woman I want to tell you about, born under a Cancerian moon, an American by birth, but roots and soul African. Standing at 7 inches and 5 feet, grown in a city that never sleeps, a city that TV would have you believe that brick and mortar were replaced for dreams that come true. But that's another story. This woman was the Black people's dream and the white man's nightmare. £135 worth of woman, $1 million on her head. Who is this woman? She has many names. Joanne Byron, Barbara O'Dooms, Joanne Chesterman, Joan Davis Henderson, Mary Davis, Pat Shezamard, Josephine Henderson, Carolyn Johnson, Joanne Deborah Shezamard, Assata Olugbara Shakur. So when I was first told about the Unbraided Legacy workshop, I wanted to draw upon a woman who not only encapsulated everything that's like Black excellence, but a woman who also resonates with me because of her use of poetry in articulating key factors of her life. But I think this is supposed to be a history lesson, so I will indulge in a bit of sharing of history. So if you bear with me, I will let you know a little bit more about the amazing Assata Shakur if you are into astrology. And she is 73 years of age. She was a former member of the Black Liberation Army and was convicted in the first-degree murder of State Trooper Warner Forster during a shootout on the New York-Jersey Turnpike. And from throughout the 70s, she was incarcerated, charged, imprisoned, and broke out of prison, with a lot of other things in between. Prior to her joining the Black Liberation Army, she was a part of the Black Panther movement. And I believe in the spectrum of beta days and gamma people. I believe in sunshine, in windmills and waterfalls, tricycles and rocking chairs. And I believe that seeds grow into sprouts and sprouts grow into trees. I believe in the magic of the hands and in the wisdom of the eyes. I believe in rain and tears and in the blood of infinity. I believe in life and have seen the death parade march through the torso of the earth, sculpting mud bodies in its path. I have seen the destruction of the daylight and seen bloodthirsty maggots prayed to and saluted. I have seen the kind become the blind and the blind become the blind in one easy lesson. I have walked on cut glass. I have eaten crow and blunder bread and breathed the stench of indifference. I have been locked by the lawless, handcuffed by the haters, gagged by the greedy. And if I know anything at all, it's that a wall is just a wall and nothing more at all. It can be broken down. I believe in living. I believe in birth. I believe in the sweat of love and in the fire of truth. And I believe that a lost ship, steered by tired, seasick sailors, can still be guided home to port. For me, I believe that it is incredibly powerful to start off a story of your life, especially when you are an ambiguous figure that has been created to almost be like the American equivalent of the boogeyman because of what she stood for. And seeing her talk about her life and interweave her life story with beautiful poetry that she wrote whilst incarcerated, it's just a depiction of the strength and the duality of Black women. We're often regaled for our strength and our resilience, but we are soft and we are nurturers and we are mothers and we have fears that probably propels and fuels our strength. So I couldn't not talk about her in a poetry workshop about legendary Black women. And she's alive to this day, living her best life in Cuba, probably sipping on a pina colada as we speak. And she's literally America's most wanted, but a beautiful woman who is a pioneer of poetry and a pioneer of fighting for your rights and standing for what you believe in. And that is just my mini history that I can give you. I honestly urge anybody to, if you've not already read the book, definitely put that on your reading list for this year.
Thank you so much, Saraiya. Her name was asked for. It's Assata Shakur, even though she's gone by so many different names. I'm definitely inspired to read her autobiography and her poetry now. So thank you so much for bringing that history to the space. We're now almost closing, but before we do, I'm going to hand over to Muneera for some more poetry.
Hey, it is so beautiful. It's so wonderful and such an honor to be well, I may not be last poet, but one of the last poets. Didn't know if the person from the open mic is back, but it's so wonderful to be in this space to cap off this night. Yeah, I just feel really honored. So thank you so much. I feel like Bernard Matthew. I'm aging myself, but I feel like Bernard Matthew because I'm saying like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful all the time. But all of this has been very beautiful. Anyway, I'm gonna do 3 poems. The first poem is poem. I've realized I like responding to popular culture. And so Rakaya and I, we've done a sort of project called Hold Me Back Poets. And this isn't a poem from there, but this is another poem which is responding to popular culture. What was popular culture maybe 15, 20 years ago, 20 years ago maybe, and it's come to be popular culture now. So the first poem is called Countess. It was the era of shouting to siblings or calling friends to tell them Black people were on TV again. The next day, we would gather in playgrounds like water in cycle trying to find its source, up through impermeable cover clay until the moisture graces the surface. Morning dew, us fresh-faced and fragrant with youth. Excitement flooding the red brick pathways that led to the assembly line. Did you see it? He said to the girl with the large gold hoop earrings and the Kiwi Body Shop lip balm clutched tight in her hands. Him knowing full well she did, because that's what young Black girls do when there's no one on television who looked like you. They scan through screens like CCTV in search of a face who too may have got their ears cuffed with a comb on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday evening, which their mother or aunt was crisscrossing tufts of hair into neatly laid cane rows. Someone who too may have a grandma who speaks a different language or who speaks the Queen's English with a different accent, but uses words like impertinent and contrivant. Yeah, I saw it. It was jokes, she said. It could have been Desmond's, Fresh Prince, or June Sapong hosting T4. Black faces on TV, who could ask for more? This was way before we were privy to conversations or representation. So when our wavy, stuck down baby tresses, box braid heroine, Brandy, got her own show, all I could say was, I want to be down. And I was watching every single episode. Moesha with her band of friends, Hakeem, Nisi, and of course, there was Kim. For the first time, I saw a girl my age and skin tone and size. The only but was Kim was the butt of every joke on every single show. Can't get a man, Kim. Inarticulate, Kim. You need to lose weight, Kim. You are not lovable, Kim. Did you hear the one about the big black girl who fancied the boy who would run away at every single chance? Or did you hear the one about the big black girl who wanted to be a cheerleader but was too fat to dance? It was only in the era of, it's only now in the era of reruns that we realized how fat phobic we were, they were, someone was. I Google search you for years to find out where you are now. They say your partner threw acid in your face. They say your partner beat you up black and blue. He used to say, no one wants a fat old Kim. So one day, Kim left. Apparently, even the deepest wounds eventually forms a chapped protective crust. And if you don't pick at the scab, but rub lightly, nightly with single Bible, it will eventually fade. I Google search you again. Countess, noun, the wife of a widow or a count, a noble, a woman having a rank of her own, a rank in her own right. Glorious, Countess, Vaughan, no longer Kim, Countess you are. So that's piece one. Piece two, I've been having a lot of conversations with my body. And so this was the start of I've always had a lot of conversations with my body, but some of those conversations were more mean. And now I'm starting to have more positive conversations with my body. And this was the first one. So it's called Dear Body. Dear body, thick body, brown body, round, curved and clutch body, soft body, my body soaked in lavender with a fragrance somewhere between mangoes and vanilla body. Dear you, body, stout like your grandma, curved like your mama, thick skin and subtle heart, blemished skin and breaking heart. I'm sorry for all the times I've neglected you, failed to shower you with gratitude for carrying me through all that you have. You are more than vessel, more like vital. Without you, this world is void without form, has no thought, no feeling, no functioning, no witnessing God wanting to be known, no stumbling over subhanallah when hearing it for the very first time, no bended knees, no fajr tears, no closed eyes when kissed on my neck, no faint breath when kissed on my back. Dear body, my carry me through hurt body, my compartmentalize until I can deal with body, heal with body. I've neglected you, bitched at you, bullied you for being so fat, so dark, so light, so hair not long enough, so hair too thick under your chin, so breast too big, butt too small, feet too flat, shoulders too broad. How have you coped, body? Not broke down, body. Even when you were pinned down and screamed out, and once again you were pinned down, but learned not to scream out because last time there was nobody, just somebody who wished to colonize you like a country, rich in resources, mother tongue gone. All that remains is corrupted languages that have taught us not to love our bodies, so it's no wonder I've neglected you. At one point even loathed you, but now, body, but now I need you to know that you are heavenly. The type of body that continents could be named after. Muneera. Land of silk tongues and wild ravines, like stretch marks carved in tummies and thighs. Land bountiful and overflowing, house of hope, home of hearts. You are loved. Dear body, thick body, brown body, round, curved and clutch body, soft body. Thank you for carrying me through. And then the third and final poem
Thank
is...
you, Muneera. Muneera. Saraiya said,
Wait
don't
a
kill us
minute,
today.
wait a minute.
Oh, don't kill us today.
Oh, wait a minute, girl.
Got a child. I've got a child. She can't be an orphan.
Stop it. No, actually continue
time,
and then stop.
Oh, I'm burned down this whole thing. I'm burned down
Oh, no,
Take time with us.
Before you close us out, I'm gonna need you to close us out. We've got one more open micer. B, I would love for you to take the stage, please. It will be great to hear your pieces from today, if you're sharing pieces from today.
I am sharing pieces from today. Thank you.
Amazing.
You ladies have been so inspiring. Thank you very much. The women in the group, the session today, I've learned so much from everybody. So thank you. This one is inspired by Assata Shakur, Existence. Your harm is an inspiration, a compulsion to heal with magic, transforming thick vitriol into good trouble. Your nouns fight for the attention of adjectives which build my strength. My universal languages wars against your full stop. Your night vision fires on track, triggers a dream soaked in crimson cotton, and like the sun, I am free of guilt. I exist unapologetically. Thank you.
Yes.
Incredible, so powerful.
Thank you. My second one is a family portrait. And this is a great example of a British global majority family taken during COVID-19, circa 2020, possibly in the autumn of festive lockdown release. Note the ancient park scenery and the woolly hats and sports cap. Yes, hoodies are more stereotypical of such families, and you can see 4 here. How many bubbles are there? Actually 3 generations and 4 bubbles. Quite extraordinarily, there are 2 e-scooters. So some good social mobility here. And the arrangement of this family is unique, not posed at all, which gives an insight into documents often captured at Zoom weddings, distance funerals, and 3 generations gathered, 5 trainers paired with a bare line of trees, half trees. See winter boots, slip-on shoes, steel toe caps, lookalikes. Life, an ongoing construction site. See smiles facing the winds and fresh frowns hiding teenage insecurities, birthing family bubbles. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Love that interpretation of the exercise and that just satire of this mad world that we're living in at this point in time. Thanks for bringing the bubbles and the tears.
Yeah. I just have one quick one, which was to do with being a queen. Every woman,
yes, go for it.
Every woman is a queen. I am a bringer of joy, wrapped in a cloak of green silk through which a stitch of gold thread runs. Praises bestow upon me, reaching into my soul from the extent of the universe. I pass on to you vibrancy in abundance. Each day flows an energy gifted from my deity Ale, embedded in Igbo culture, Mother Nature, and the science of her moon. The griots smile as bees work. My stomach, like my brain, swells as the landscape fills with melodies, tracing rhythms of peace, and I march your sad songs into passion. I juice your melancholy. That is me, a queen, bringer of joy. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Thank you everyone for being here. We're going to close with one last poem from Muneera now.
I'm gonna do a final poem. B, thank you, really, really lovely. You know what? Every time I ask people to write a poem, the photo poem, like people always write it from their own perspective, or possibly from the perspective of the person in the picture, but no one ever writes it from that perspective, and it's so funny. Like it's so. In fact, do you mind if I get a copy of your poetry? Is that cheeky? I will use it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna do my final piece. It's very short. oftentimes I'm a single woman. Oftentimes people are like, oh, why are you single? And first of all, I'm like, why are you asking me that question? And also, sometimes I notice it's very hard to explain, but people use this as a chat up line. So they were like, why are you single then? And then try to move to you from that. But anyway, it's called To All the Men, Bismillah. This is to all my single ladies out here. They ask me why I'm single. I shy away from the truth. Spiritual women attract broken men, and like a nurse, I tend to them. It's not that I've never had relationships. It's just there's a thin line between lover and healer. I am often both, and he is often neither. He is the one in need, and I mostly have the ability to rejuvenate when I deplete. They come to me wounded, and it would seem my womb has a thing for making my heart their remedy. Them idling on sacred ground, somebody else's sacred house. I act placid as they set God's house alight to keep them warm. And when they're done, I out their flames with acid, scooping up the flesh that's left behind, knowing these scars would heal with time, because who does not want a woman who can heal like alchemy, who can ease pains and sorrows, mixing elixirs out of tears, cloves and aloes? Please tell me, who does not want a woman who would give all of herself until she is hollow? God's home is hollow. I am shallow, yet drowning still. It's best I'm single, that's God's will. Pen has lifted feather and quill, because we are remodeling house into home. So the next man who enters will have to take off his shoes and bow at God's throne. And that's me, Muneera Pilgrim, one from Rakaya. To you. Honestly, this together.
Air horns all round, air horns for everybody.
Wait, can I say something? Accept your roses. Can we just, a round of applause, a little shout out to Rakaya, whatever it is. Wonderful, wonderful. Well done. And to Sister Ami behind the scenes.
You know what I would love to ask everyone, if that's okay, is if you guys want this to be a regular thing, please put a thumbs up, put a hearts up, put a fist up. Let us know, because we can make this happen and make it more regular. So let us know. This is Rakaya's idea, and she's executed it so well, and we're really keen to do more. So if there's a desire for it, we'll make it happen, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much. Thank you for all your feedback. Stay in touch so that you can hear about the next one as well. I'm gonna put our Instagram in the chat. We're @_Nana Collective, but you can also follow Hold Me Back Poets on Eventbrite, and you can just find all of us on various social media. You can email me as well, the faulty AOL email that is not letting anyone in, but you can contact me there. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. Thank you for making this event, really, and for providing your energy and attention and time. We run over, but thank you so